Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I want to first start, a little bit of an echo here. I want to start by thanking the Oregon for All Coalition, which is a coalition, a statewide coalition of community groups who are coming together to stand up for all of Oregon. And I want to thank them for their time this morning to share what they are hearing from the community, their concerns. You're going to hear from some of the coalition members in our speakers list today. And I want to thank them for their leadership, for their courage, and their commitment to all Oregonians to be able to live safe in our state and to take care of their families. Every single time the Trump administration sows chaos in our state, my goal is to respond with facts, in coordination with our partners, and in a way that responds to community needs. And that's what we're doing here today. This week, the White House described that federal agents will make mistakes as they fulfill the president's unlawful agenda to divide our nation. But these aren't mistakes. The president and his agencies are intentionally working to scare, bully, and traumatize our immigrant and refugee communities and our Black, Brown, and Indigenous communities. It's not a mistake when federal agents show up outside our schools when parents are dropping off or picking up their kids. It is not a mistake when federal agents conceal their faces and identities when they arrest our neighbors and their family members. It's not a mistake when communities where Oregon's construction and ag workforce live are targeted. And it's not a mistake when federal agents start using lethal force and ratchet up the tensions throughout our communities. These are not mistakes. These are actions that require a coordinated response to stand up for people, human beings, and that is our immigrant and refugee community neighbors. Oregon is home to over 400,000 immigrants, representing 13% of our state's labor force. Immigrants and refugees are our friends, they are our neighbors, they are the parents of our children in our schools. Today, I heard from representatives from communities across Oregon who are facing harsher and harsher immigration enforcement activities that ignore lawful, customary practices and truly undermine our community safety. Some of the things I heard today is the level of fear and anxiety in our communities across the state. Immigrants and refugees are absolutely essential to our economic growth in the state and our economic activity. There is tremendous impact on our children and families. Our children are being traumatized by the activities in our communities. We need to stop the violence and the cruelty that is coming from our federal government because it's not going to keep our communities safe. All immigrants are a part of our community and are essential to Oregon's success. And those immigrant communities are all across Oregon, everywhere. And they have built our state, and we need to protect each other. As a grandchild of an immigrant, I know we are all immigrants in this country, unless you are a descendant or a member of First Peoples in our country. We are all immigrants. And to say that those immigrants are somehow not worth defending or standing up for is wrong and un-American. Our country was built by immigrants. It will thrive through the success of our immigrant communities, and we need to change what is happening in our state and in our country. For me as governor, I'm committed and will continue to stay committed every single day to protect our families across the state in every way I can. One of the things that I have directed in state government is for our Office of Immigration and Refugee Advancement to understand the problem on the ground. That office has traveled the state and met with over 40 community partners. Under the leadership of Jessica Ventura, the Office of Immigration and Refugee Advancement has done a strategic planning process. And one of the messages that has come through very clear is this: we have to improve coordination between our community partners and our state agencies to combat the confusion and misinformation and delayed response and the very fear that our families are experiencing. I believe we can always do better and do more to connect people and protect them, and we're going to do that. Here's what we know. Families are losing access to basic services because of increased enforcement activity driven by, I would believe, unlawful quotas from the federal government. People of all citizenship statuses are avoiding workplaces, schools, clinics, and public buildings. That means missed work, missed medical care, and missed school days. At the same time, community organizations, school districts, and local governments are under more pressure to help with limited capacity to respond. As federal agents attack our Black and brown communities, the state must listen, gather information, and respond. There is a clear opportunity to strengthen our coordination across state government and between state and local governments to help ensure that Oregonians are getting the services and support they deserve and need in this perilous moment. This coordination will be about clear guidance, shared interpretation, how to escalate issues to the right level, and keeping leadership informed as impacts emerge. I'm committed to closing the gaps and responding directly with communities that they need stronger support from state systems right now. And you can expect an announcement from my office in the very near future about building on the work we've been doing since President Trump was elected. And my actions will be informed by the collective wisdom of our community partners, including the stories that I heard today. Along with what I do to continue to respond to increased fear in our communities because of the Trump administration's actions, we have strong partners in the Oregon State Legislature. They will play a key role in coordinating a response that strengthens the state's ability to protect everyone who calls Oregon home. And as you've heard and what they'll be talking about today, legislators are preparing for work next month, and I will be closely following those conversations and supporting their work. I'm here today with everyone behind me who represents organizations that work with hundreds, thousands of Oregonians across our state and our immigrant and refugee communities. And my message to everyone that is worried and scared today, I want you to know that Oregon is your home. I'm committed to doing everything I can to support you, to protect your family, your children, and our communities. There's no simple one answer, but together, we are going to stand united to protect the Oregon we have for everyone who lives here. So thank you, and I'll go on to our next speaker, Representative Ruiz.
Good afternoon. My name is Ricky Ruiz. I am the state representative of District 50, which covers Gresham and a small portion of Southeast Portland. I first want to begin by thanking Governor Kotek and First Lady for convening this immigration roundtable that we just had prior to this presser and for us being here together. As co-chair of the BIPOC caucus, I can say on behalf of my colleagues that we are devastated by the stories we're hearing every single day. Stories of families and entire communities being torn apart by this federal administration. What especially is alarming is the continued use of racial profiling as a tool for detention targeting Oregonians regardless of their citizenship or immigration status. Just last week, ICE detained a Gresham family who were rushing their 7-year-old daughter to receive emergency medical care, something any loving parent would do. They never made it to the hospital. Instead, 3 unmarked vehicles surrounded their car and detained all 3 family members, the father, the mother, and their daughter, Diana. At a moment when the immediate health and well-being of a child should be taken as top priority, ICE denied Diana medical care and instead transported the Crespo Gonzalez family to the South Texas Family Center, where they remain detained today. Let me be clear, this is not about safety, this is about cruelty. No child should ever be forced to endure this level of fear and uncertainty, especially when they need medical help. And as a parent myself, I will never accept this normal or as justified. Unfortunately, this is not an isolated incident. We are seeing disturbing patterns of ICE targeting asylum-seeking families, like the parents of the 7-year-old Diana in Gresham, 5-year-old Liam in Minnesota, and the 10-year-old child who's not named yet, but from Spokane, Washington. If this is how people are treated when they're doing things the legal way, then the immigration system is not just broken, it is cruel. Under the Trump administration, it is clear that cruelty is the point. Right now, we must demand care, dignity, and due process, not just for the Crespo Gonzalez family, but for every Oregonian impacted by these actions. That is why I'm honored to stand here today with a clear message. We are stronger together when we stand up for the most vulnerable communities. communities being targeted by an administration that is tearing families and neighborhoods apart. As co-chair of the BIPOC caucus, I am proud to stand alongside my colleagues as we advance legislation this short session. Whether it's empowering individuals to hold federal agents accountable for violating their rights, establishing statewide standards to protect Oregonians' data, or supporting children and families separated from their caregivers, we are committed to showing up and doing everything we can to protect our immigrant communities. And let me be very clear on this point. You cannot claim to support legal immigration while attacking the people who are using the very legal pathways our laws provide. You are either for legal immigration, including all lawful pathways, or you're opposed to immigration altogether. There is no in between. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Janine Salman. I am the state senator, proudly representing Senate District 15, which includes areas of Forest Grove, Cornelius, Hillsborough, and the Rock Creek area in western Washington County. And I want to thank the governor and the First Lady for convening us here today. Oregonians want so desperately to hear from their leaders and know they are being supported and seen. I am here today to support our immigrant communities who are our friends and our neighbors, our business owners, students, hardworking Oregonians. The fear that they are feeling is not my reality, simply because of the skin that I am in. Support for action takes many forms, like standing with community members in solidarity, a powerful tool. We have seen this in Minnesota in response to the horrific immigration enforcement happening there. And we see it across Oregon. In Hillsborough, Cornelius, and Forest Grove, I have stood with my community as they face these challenges and boldly send a message that what is happening is something that we all as human beings should challenge. Immigration enforcement actions are bringing both physical and deep emotional trauma to our communities. As a mom and a grandma, it pains me to see the pain and fear in children's eyes. This is not the pain that they will quickly overcome. We see a wide-eyed 5-year-old that is being taken and scared by ICE at a school, a place of safety. Students thrown to the ground and pinned down by adults. In Hillsborough, students waiting in line at a Dutch Brothers are surrounded by masked men pointing guns. At Cornelius Elementary School, ICE agents have stood across the street and waved at parents and students during drop-off and pickup times. This is abhorrent behavior. I was at the city council meeting in Hillsborough when Manny, a teenager, gained courage to openly share his fears. Manny's raw emotion captured the world. He shared about his fear of coming home to an empty house, should his parents be taken while he was at school. Manny's fears are not abstract. It is a daily reality for so many of our families in Oregon. People in my district and across Oregon are genuinely scared. They are afraid to leave their homes to go to work or do errands like grocery shopping. They are afraid to take their children to school. They are fearful for friends and loved ones being disappeared by ICE. Our cities and our local community-based organizations are bearing the brunt of this fear and the outrage that our communities are experiencing. This is both an economic and a humanitarian crisis. When I was speaking to a friend in Bend, they admitted that what was happening in my communities was simply not the experience on the other side of the mountain. What we are seeing on the streets in Minnesota is not the level we are seeing in Oregon yet. I saw a sign on I-84 that read, "Your silence will not protect you." We cannot be silent. Our silence will not protect us. As we have seen in Minnesota, this escalation has made the worst fears come true. The violence, the terrorism that led the loss of a life, and military action. But the people, law enforcement, and leaders are not staying silent. This is a burden too large for just any one group to take on alone, which is why it is so important that we are here today in partnership with our community leaders. We need to support each other and support solutions that will have real impacts for Oregonians and are truly enforceable and do not lead to false hope and further harm. I am here to support my district and to support those that are facing unimaginable fear and trauma, however I can help. I am so honored to be standing with every one of these folks behind me, and so honored to stand with the governor in this, because this humanitarian crisis must end. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Ira Coyo Martinez. I am the proud son of immigrants, and I am here on behalf of Picún, Oregon's Farm Worker Union. On October 30th, 2025, Woodburn experienced the largest immigration raid in recent history. Over 35 neighbors were taken by ICE in a single day. This has caused a lot of fear in our communities ever since. Fear of going to school, fear of going to work, fear that a single knock on the door can change everything. Families have to prepare for separation as if it were inevitable. That is not normal, and it should never be accepted. But let me be clear that fear does not define us. Immigrant Oregonians are the heart of this state. We are your neighbors, your caregivers, students and workers, elders and parents. Oregon is our home. And that is why leadership goes beyond just statements. And that is why I'm proud to stand here with the governor, with our state legislators, with our community leaders to start taking action and protect our communities. That is what real leadership looks like in this moment of crisis. Oregon today is facing a lot of challenges across the state. And we want to make sure that we do everything in our power to extend protections, hold the federal government accountable, pass the immigrant justice package, and use our state resources to support immigrant communities. Because our people come from generations of resilience. We have been here before, and we will continue to respond by organizing and caring for one another. Because the Oregon that we believe in is one where everyone can live with safety, dignity, and hope, regardless of where you were born. Aquí estamos y no nos vamos.
My name is Isa Peña, and I'm the Director of Strategy at Innovation Law Lab, a tri-chair for Oregon for All, and a proud daughter of immigrant Oregonians. I'd like to start off by thanking Governor Kotek and the First Lady for convening the roundtable today. Over the past year, Oregonians have been the target of cruel, lawless, and violent federal and ICE surge, causing extreme fear and family separation. Oregonians have been the target of aggressive tactics and unchecked surveillance by ICE agents. More than 1,000 mothers, fathers, children, neighbors, friends have been snatched off our streets. Construction workers, farm workers, doctors, and restaurant workers have been separated from their loved ones. We have all felt the impact. These unlawful federal actions call for a strong, unified response, and we will not sit idly by as our families are torn apart, as our economy suffers, and as critical systems are pushed to the breaking point. Together, we must ensure that Oregon can respond to these federal attacks and protect the place we call home. As was announced earlier this month, immigrant and refugee organizations, in coordination with legislative leaders are advancing a broad package of bills and funding requests that will support our communities that have been most impacted by this harm. Financial support for legal services, data privacy protections, and ensuring that our public dollars do not support this administration's extreme anti-immigrant agenda are just a few pieces of this package. We are proud to stand together with the legislature, with the governor, so that we can ensure that all Oregonians are protected, regardless of their immigration status. We want our communities to know that we are not backing down. We will do everything in our power to protect our people, and Oregon is our home. We belong here. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Ana Munoz, and I'm Director of Community Defense at Latino Network. I also serve as a school board member for the Reynolds School District. And let me tell you that our federal government has turned our society into chaos. The education system is one of many that has been affected by this unlawful immigration enforcement. Students are afraid. That is affecting attendance at our schools. Our school staff and leaders don't know how to react. They don't know how to respond. They're struggling. They need support. And all is because of the federal government. Immigration enforcement has gone out of control. They are attacking our kids, our students. How humanitarian is that? We need to step up and respond and be able to fight this system that is affecting our community and our society. Federal agents are hunting down citizens, people. How is that acceptable? We need to stop that. Federal agents are cruel and violent. We are in a humanitarian crisis. We need to step up. We need to come together. We need to unite, and we need to be able to respond. Oregon is my home, and it has been for the past 30 years. And as an educator, I want to be able to say the same thing to the next generation. Let's fight this together and stand up together. Thank you.
Now we're going to turn it over to just a really brief Q&A. And there's no virtual questions at this time, so let's jump to first here with OPB, joining online.
Can I get a reaction to the fatal shooting in Minnesota this morning?
I haven't had a chance to review, but here's what I would say about the situation in Minnesota. It's alarming, and what we need the federal government to do is de-escalate the situation. And we are going to continue to see violent interactions regardless of the details because of the escalation of the federal government, and they need to pull back on the agents who are there, work with local government, and resolve and de-escalate the situation in Minnesota.
Yes, KGW?
Yes. Would you or maybe Issa be able to talk a little bit more specifically about this package of bills as we're looking towards like other tangible ways to combat this?
One of the legislators want to.
Good morning. Good to see you all. Willie Choatson, State Representative from House District 46, Southeast Portland. We released some of the details of these bills last week, and we'll have more coming out in the coming weeks. But my colleagues and I have been working for many months to try to make sure we're putting together the most robust package of bills that we can to do everything we can at the state level. So that's going to address issues ranging from mass police to making sure that we have accountability for the agents who are causing the chaos that we just heard about and that we're all seeing in our communities, as well as making sure we have, for example, schools have systems to notify families if ICE shows up to a campus. Feel free to reach out to my office, and happy to provide more information.
And we do have one question that did come in virtually. This is from K2 asking, in light of what happened earlier today in Minneapolis, what is your governor, your message to the people of Portland and around Oregon who will probably go out and protest?
I have been very proud of Oregonians who are standing up for their values and letting their voices be heard in peaceful protest. I think that's important. This is a critical time for our nation. When things we disagree with are happening by our federal government, it is important for not only Oregonians but Americans to make their voices heard. And here in Oregon, we have been doing that peacefully and consistently, and I suspect that will continue. And again, as it relates to the situation in Minnesota, the Trump administration is intentionally escalating the situation in Minneapolis. You need to stop that. People are going to continue to be hurt as the Trump administration simply does not care. With our federal tax dollars, they need to back up, step back, work with the local community, and truly be committed to community safety, not escalating and dividing people, which is what is happening in Minnesota.
Next, we'll go here to Coyne.
Are you worried at all about Trump trying to send National Guard troops here again, redeploy? And if so, what measures are you taking to prevent that?
I think we've heard some very troubling comments from President Trump about the use of the Insurrection Act. I will say I am very pleased to say that all of the Oregon National Guard members are now fully demobilized from their federal deployment and are home. No president should be calling up Guard troops from states without the approval of those governors. And I hope we made it very clear when that was attempted here, and the courts have been very clear about that, that is an inappropriate, unlawful use of National Guard troops. As it relates to the situation in Minnesota, again, it continues to escalate, and I stand with Governor Walz and the mayor of Minneapolis who are trying to de-escalate that, and we need support from President Trump to do that. And any message about calling up troops to be put in American cities is wrong, it is unlawful, and I would argue absolutely unnecessary.
We'll hear to Mia from Capitol Chronicle.
Governor, or to any of the lawmakers, can you guys give me any more details about legislation you're working on to protect immigrants seeking health care? There's been a drop in enrollment in Healthier Oregon. OHA has attributed that to people being fearful under the Trump administration. And then just last week, a girl was, before she could get health care, ICE agents were at this hospital. So can you guys address, what steps are you taking to make health care more accessible here?
Well, because of the fear and the chaos that is being created by the Trump administration and unlawful immigration enforcement, people are scared. They're not seeking the medical care that they need, and that is hurting our communities. In the issue that happened at Adventist Hospital, I would call on our healthcare providers to be very clear in communicating with Oregonians that they are trying to provide safe places for people to be. I also will say the reality is the way the federal agents are acting, it's hard to guarantee that safety, and that is why people are scared. From the state's perspective, we will do everything we can to only share the data that we need to share. We have people who are being targeted. And let's remember the individuals at Adventist Health who came in, the family with their child, as Representative Ruiz has mentioned, came through a legal immigration process. And I want to say to Oregonians out there who think this does not concern you, it does. Our businesses, our economy, our schools, our neighborhoods, this affects each and every one of us, and we need to say no, we need to push back, and we need to stand up for our neighbors.
And I think we have time for maybe one more question.
Any comment on that family was seeking asylum, it sounded like, but now immigration has said that doesn't really matter? Any comment on that?
So what I'm understanding is, and if anyone else wants to jump in, we're seeing a federal government that says, doesn't matter how you came here, even if you came through a legal process, we're going to profile you and send you somewhere else. That is illegal, unlawful, and immoral, and we will just have to keep calling it out, and we will fight in the courts as best we can to maintain the systems that have been put in place to help continue to support immigrants and refugees who come to our country.
Yeah, I know retaliation has been something that's been a concern in this presidential administration. As you're discussing this package of bills, is that something that you're all discussing, what the possible reaction might be from the White House?
Well, we have heard very recently in the last couple of days this continued drumbeat that for states who have state laws passed by leaders in our states to protect our residents and to disconnect from federal immigration enforcement. They're threatening to take our federal dollars away. I will remind everyone those are our federal tax dollars, It is illegal if they have been allocated to the states. The president can just not unilaterally take that money away. And if he does do that, we're going to continue to fight in the courts. The Attorney General here in the state of Oregon with other Attorney Generals has been successful in fighting that, and we will continue to do that. Look, we're not going to be bullied in Oregon. We're going to stand together and be fearless and courageous for what we believe in, and we will continue to push back on the agenda from President Trump that does not match Oregon values. So thank you. Thanks everyone for being here today. So appreciate it. Take care.